Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. President William Ruto has fired a warning shot on his side in a calculated move executed by the land CS Alice Wahome spilling the beans, and this exposes a deep cabinet split, leaving Ruto more exposed about his 2027 fears. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. And thank you very much for your support. We do this each and every day because of your support. Kindly subscribe. Subscription is absolutely free. The advantage is when you subscribe to a channel, you'll be receiving notifications whenever we publish a video. So make sure you subscribe. Here we give it an in-depth outlook. We don't just run it flashy. We demonstrate to you so that you have a wider understanding of what it is all about. And that is why I want to show you why William Ruto is really, Kenya Kwanza government is really in an uncomfortable place. Rigathi Gachagua, the second deputy president who was impeached, is successfully bringing the Tower of Babel down alone, taking on President Ruto head-on. Armed with endless bombshells on William Ruto's administration since his impeachment, the president has remained undefended, showing undefended and defeated, while Rigathi continues to show, to expose what is not going right in the system. And as a man who spent the first 2 years working with Kenya Kwanza, Kenyans tend to believe what Rigathi is saying, even without high-handedness in terms of verifying what he's saying. But the president is also not responding to what Rigathi Gachagua is feeding the masses. Ruto has remained undefended and with discontent. Today, or rather on Monday, Rigathi was flanked. Rigathi issued a press briefing, and he was loaded, or rather accompanied by Kikuyu caucus, who was standing in solidarity as the members of his new DCP party, just as he was speaking about what he underwent. If you look at this photo, majority of those who are there, apart from Malala, were actually Kikuyu members of parliament. Now, with the emergence of DCP, there are quite a number of people that are caucusing around him. And in fact, as I said, now they issue statements. Now, when they're giving statements as DCP party.
President William Ruto has expressed ungovernable anger that the state-sponsored goons are being overpowered by my private security personnel who are licensed gun holders. President Ruto is furious that the people of Kenya have not forgotten about the Kiambaa church massacre, where children and women were tortured in the 2007 and /8 post-election violence, and is unhappy that I keep on reminding the people of Kenya of the heinous act. I want to say that although Kenyans forgive each other, they cannot forget this, and there is nothing the president can do about it.
But I believe Rigathi should now normalize giving the Secretary General or the Deputy Secretary General to be issuing those statements. But of course, for the profile of those statements, for the things you want to say, is the right person probably to address them. And you can see that what will then be expected is Kikuyu caucus to coalesce and rather to defend the president. Mount Kenya MPs Kimani Ichung'wah, Mwangi Kiunjuri, amongst other locals, members of parliament, have all retreated as Rigathi and his camps dress down the government. They only pretend to attack when attending the president's functions or functions organized by the deputy president. And in fact, it's only Kindiki and a handful of Kalenjin battalion, Sudi, Arun Cheriot, and Farouk Kibet, who are now countering the statements from Rigathi Gachagua. The president is feeling threatened. Mount Kenya MPs also are becoming more lukewarm in attacking Rigathi, because what was just a statement that probably Rigathi is forming a party, they are now feeling that that party is a threat to their seats in the next general election. And they're no longer attacking Rigathi Gachagua, except when the president is there. A press briefing was organized by a caucus of the MPs to counter Rigathi over the election violence statements that Rigathi made, but that could not happen because they did not get the numbers enough to give a statement. And if you understand things are not working well, I want to show you sound bites from two members of parliament. Recently, one member of parliament was even blaming Road CS, the current Road CS, the person who took over from Murkomen, Chirchir, about some road that the president launched in Gatundu, but it never started. And Ndindi Nyoro is also insisting that the 3 billion cherry fund cannot be slashed by the treasury.
Lakini tuko na shida na waziri wa barabara Chirchir ambaye amekataa kujenga barabara za Gatundu North. Amekataa kujenga barabara za Mau Mau Road ambazo ziko with the Fokoni Ward. Amekataa kujenga barabara ya kutoka Thika kwenda Magumu. Ametudanganya na akadanganya rais ati contractor ako site na amerudi, na hiyo ni uongo. Hata mimi nahurumia rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya kwa sababu wanadanganywa wakiwa State House ati contractors wamerudi kwa site, na ni uongo, hawajarudi hapa Gatundu North. Wamerudi ama hawajarudi? Tumedanganywa na waziri wa barabara ati hii barabara ya kutoka Thika kwenda Magumu inaisha wakati wote kutoka sasa. Na yeye contractor amechukua matrakta na ameenda. Sasa barabara haijengwi, haina contractor, haijamalizika, haijafika hata nusu, na rais alitoa amri akasema hiyo barabara ishe. Wananchi wamekasirika sana kwa sababu wanasema afadhali tungebaki na waziri wa barabara wa Murkomen ambaye alikuwa amejenga hii barabara kutoka Thika mpaka Kamwangi, lakini huyu yuko saa hii nasikia inasemekana anachukia Wakikuyu. Na hata kama unachukia Wakikuyu, waziri Chirchir, lazima utujengee barabara hii ya kutoka Thika kwenda Magumu na hii ya Mau Mau Road, kwa sababu watu wetu wanaathirika sana. Watoto wetu na wamama wanazalia watoto kwa barabara. Watu wa Kamunyanga wanazalia watoto kwa barabara. Na waziri amekaa kwa ofisi, hakuna kazi anafanya. Hawa wananchi ndio walipea William Ruto kura na ndio watampea 2027. Na wewe unafanya wachukie rais kwa sababu ufanye kazi. Unadanganya rais ati unafanya kazi na hakuna contractor hata mmoja ako hapa Gatundu North constituency.
Primary issue that I have a concern with is the cleverness around borrowing. Now we have a term that is floating around called securitization. That is a making of a big scandal in Kenya. Because we are borrowing money at the fuel levy, the money that would have been collected for the next 7 years, we have already borrowed from the banks. That has not even come to the National Assembly for any deliberation. Na hiyo pesa imekopwa, hiyo pesa imelipwa, haijapitia bunge, na ni pesa ambayo wananchi watalipa for the next many years. Securitization, wale wote wanahusika nayo, ya maneno ya mabarabara, sasa inaenda katika sports fund. It is illegal, and we must not continue to overburden the Kenyans of tomorrow by wanting to be clapped for today.
The people in government decided to cut the budget that they had brought in the budget policy statement, pesa ambayo ilikuwa ya coffee cherry fund, which was 3 billion. Nikaona wakileta bajeti yenyewe wamekata bilioni 1, na nikiangalia kule bilioni 1 itaenda, sio mambo inahusikana na wananchi. And because the cycle is still ongoing in parliament, we will make sure that we return that money to where it should be. Ikuje ishikilia wakulima wetu. Coffee cherry fund. Coffee cherry fund inafanyanga wakulima wapate pahali ya kukopa pesa na bei ya chini, so that we don't overburden them with expensive debts. The second thing, we have been making sure that every financial year we allocate money to assist farmers in the repayment of the previous loans, in the previous debts. Lakini nimeona katika hii bajeti imeletwa pia hiyo pesa imetolewa, which is not a very good indication. But the last thing that is very surprising also is that the monies that was allocated for fertilizer subsidy in the budget policy statement, 7 billion Kenya shillings of that has been hived off
to 2 billion. Now, these conversations are now deep, but people are still just talking about other things. Now, allow me to outweigh here. Instead of just spending time, there is a lot of money that is put into economic forums. Today, Kindiki even attended some coffee, a meeting with the coffee farmers in Dia, Kirinyaga County. But what they're not telling the masses is, what they're not telling Mount Kenya farmers is the budget by, current budget by Mbadi, the Mbadi budget has proposed to slash down the cherry fund, which is a fund that is supposed to help farmers to acquire cheap loans or other affordable loans, is supposed to be reduced to 2 billion. Now, those are the kind of discussions that these MPs should actually present to the president, so that if they really talk about the issues of Mount Kenya. And because of this, and because of Mount Kenya abandonment, I think it is in William Ruto's expectation that ODM party should go full force against the opposition bench led by Rigathi, and instead, Odinga and his team, as I earlier analyzed, continue to issue conflicting statements. And this is why, according to Alice Wahome, who is a very good subscriber in this channel, something is definitely wrong somewhere.
Even us from government, including wale wamejoin Kenya Kwanza, marafiki wetu wale tumeungana kuform broad basic government, ni BBG, yeah? Hata wao, some of them are confused because they have never been in government. This is the first time, and that is because William Ruto has agreed to share government with the opposition. Wengine wanasema wao ni mawaziri, wanasema ni mawaziri, ama sijui wamekuja kutusupport, but they are not in government. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have your cake with, what am I saying? I'm saying ODM and UDA na affiliated parties of UDA wako kwa broad-based government. Now, it is not possible for ODM now to say they are not in government. Hiyo haieleweki. Vile huo, meku kana makile huo. They are either in or out.
Yes. I've listened to, I know that Wahome is addressing the conflicting statements by ODM leaders. But you need to, and I really agree with her point. This is something that I even said, probably, maybe she watched my video, the video that I did the other day. You know, the other day I did a video here about Raila going to Via about issuing conflicting statements. And probably she watched. She's a subscriber of this channel, so probably she watched. And I also questioned it, and I said, it is so unfair for the Odinga and his team and continue saying we are not in government while they are enjoying the fruits of that government. So, something is wrong. And when I listen to the CS, she's also addressing this issue of cabinet. And in my clearest view, something is not right. There are some cracks somewhere. Now, in President Ruto's cabinet, that the perceived expert, the alleged experts that Raila Odinga donated, Andai, Mbadi, Oparanya, Joho, in the school, out of those 4, probably 5, the only vocal person defending President Ruto attacking Rigathi is Opiyo Wandayi.
But let me say this, because yesterday, when Gachagua spoke very recklessly, very, very recklessly. You know, Mr. Gachagua has not seen trouble in his life. And therefore, he can be wishing this country the bad things. Yet, because this country is protected by God, this country will remain united. The elections will come and go, yet Kenya will remain united. Mr. Gachagua must stop being a prophet of doom. This country will remain united. What they are doing is simply crying wolf. They have already sensed defeat, even before the IBC is constituted. What I want to assure them, the Wamunyoro group, is that the elections will come, they will be defeated, and Kenya will move on. If he is wishing for trouble, then he is alone. Gachagua has never even spent a single hour in a police cell. He has never even tasted tear gas. He has not seen trouble. We can give him some 1 or 2 lessons when it comes to agitation. So let him keep his peace and let Kenyans stay united.
Probably Mbadi. The rest are laid back. So one thing I don't understand, does Kenya Kwanza expect that even the cabinet, who are not even supposed to politic, should go full throttle against Rigathi? Because the threat that Kenya Kwanza is facing, much as I see them appearing in television stations and denying, the threat Kenya Kwanza is facing is just from Rigathi Gachagua axis. That axis is the strongest axis now outside government, and that is the current opposition, if you talk about opposition politics. I told you, there is something I did some analysis, and I told you I don't trust Joho. I told you I don't trust that Joho, after Kimutai speaked as the PS, I don't trust Joho to continue becoming comfortable. Today I even saw Joho meeting Raila. The person who will run that docket is that PS Kimutai. He used to run the health docket. And the way it's deployed there, something is right. Now in this podcast, I want to explain. Why do you think Wahome is firing those warning shots to ODM? Why? Of course, amongst some of the loyal CSS that are around the president, she's one of them. And the Mount Kenya caucus, the first team that were appointed in cabinet, she's probably the only one from Mount Kenya that has survived. Her and Rebecca Miano and Kithure Kindiki. All the others, Mithika, Kuria, the guy who was in Treasury, the gentleman who was in Treasury, all of them, the gentleman who was from Nakuru, all of them have been shown the door. And some of their positions what has been given to the new experts that are now joining government. Something is going on. Number one, Ruto is directly warning Raila Odinga. And that is the message from Alice Wahome. And the warning is, you are either in government or you are not. Remember, the center of this confusion is none other than the son of Jaramogi. It is the son of Jaramogi who continues to say we are not in government. And now he's gotten another escape route of saying party position. While his own brother spends more time saying about how things should be divided. And then in the division, they have the knife. So I think directly, and it's a warning shot that probably if you guys are not in government, then you need to walk out. That's the message. And I can tell you, whatever started from the CS, you may not be shocked that the other day or the next few days to come, if that will be the rallying call. Even the MPs will now start saying, hey, you guys decide. You're either with us or you're not with us. And the second observation I can see is there could be some simmering boardroom fallout. And it is those boardroom fallout that are spilling in public. Something is not right somewhere. There could be boardroom fallouts. The other observation I can make here is Ruto evaluation of ODM as the shield against Rigathi onslaught is wanting. In fact, there is a perception and there is a narrative that has been sold for quite so long since the conundrum, the agreement between Ruto and Raila was started, that Raila saved government and Raila is stabilizing government and this and that. Yes, partly it's true because there is Raila mania that was in the street and now that team withdrew from the street. But this is the truth. If the country believe that this is not the right direction, and now, in fact, now Ruto has exhausted all options. I don't know who next is to bring on board. Probably no Uhuru Kenyatta or Kalonzo. I don't know who. And if things are to go south, and that is not what we pray for, I don't think even Raila can stop it. He cannot. And lastly, I feel the isolation narrative that Oburu Odinga keeps on preaching is also annoying. And indeed, it's true, it's annoying. It's annoying. And sometimes you see, there is this statement from Oburu that, we carry the knife. So nowadays we use the knife to cut the cake and now we must take more because we're also paying taxes. We're also paying debts of loans that were borrowed and they were not used to benefit us. That isolation narrative and in my own assessment, it is the way ODM team have behaved in government is a wrong precedent until I'm trying to figure out this is not the right thing. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. And you can also give me your perspective. What do you think is behind Alice Wahome's outburst? Thank you.